Hello everyone. Since the past 2 weeks were kind of different, Dhruv and I were at PAX East 2022 in Boston. We're going to pause the development week for the past 2 weeks, and we're probably going to start next week again, back from week 18, 17, 18. I'm going to say 18. And it's going to be a rush now, but this past 2 weeks were crazy. So I thought I would just give you guys a rundown of how PAX went for us. It was very, very interesting, to say the least. It started out horribly, actually. There were tons of bad omens from the very get-go. So Dhruv and I got on the plane, and then so everything was good until their transfer flight. So thank goodness it's not the flight before the transfer flight, but during the transport flight, Dhruv and I were boarding this one plane that was delayed for an hour. So they gave us the option to move to this other flight. And when we went to that other flight, everything was good, and then we started heading out. They waited for about an hour while on this second flight. Once we head out, we actually drove right back into where we started, and they were saying, oh, there's some engine problems, and we're like, oh my god. So then we were onboarded, and then we had to transfer back to the original flight. So that was already like about an hour to 2 hours. No, I would say about 3 hours delay, and that was kind of crazy already. On the same time, when we were dealing with all this stuff, Annabelle actually called us. So originally Annabelle was gonna come with us to PAX East as well, but she couldn't make the flight because Annabelle's dog had to go to the hospital the night before, so she's been up the whole night already, and then so she couldn't make it. And Dhruv was helping her out with the gate agents, and then we're trying to figure things out. And eventually she was gonna book her flight for the next day. Or the next day. I think it's the next day. So she would have to come later, and then it was quite the logistical problem. So all right, everything that's like Tuesday. Wednesday we went to the place. It's nice. We got fined for where we parked the car, and then when we were inside, it took us about 6 to 7 hours to actually set up everything. Dhruv and I had to build all the shelves and then make things look good, and I think the setup was awesome. When we were heading back from the convention center to our hotel, we checked in, and they said, actually, none of you guys are on the registry. Only Annabelle is on the registry. And Dhruv was obviously furious. He called them, what's happening? So Priceline actually canceled both Dhruv and my hotel register, but kept Annabelle's for some odd reason. So then it's a nice hotel. So, and then the hotel couldn't do anything, and there were tons of back and forth where the Priceline had to talk to the hotel but can't talk to the hotel directly. So Dhruv had to be like the translator in between, back and forth. And eventually Priceline says, yeah, we can't help you get into this hotel. And then Dhruv was really adamant about them finding something because Priceline canceled us without letting us know. So it's obviously on Priceline's problem. But thanks to Dhruv's silver tongue, Dhruv got Priceline to update all of our suites, and then we actually stayed at a 4-point Sheraton, something like that. A little bit farther down, but it was nice to have a place. And while that is being said, we couldn't get 3 rooms, so Annabelle was unable to come, and that was a little bit unfortunate. So after all of this, Dhruv and I were like, yeah, I don't know, we're going into this convention with some not so good things happening, and so we had no expectation. Thankfully, that's where pretty much everything ended. PAX East 2022 was a complete surprise. It was so popular. Our booth was so popular that Dhruv is usually the slightly more pessimistic guy, and he was surprised how popular Brave Eduardo was. I have to say, everything is credited to Matt's amazing trailer. I think we brought some speakers, and then we just blasted it towards the entrance, and I think that really did the job. The trailer is amazing, and I can't wait for you guys to check it out. But there were tons of people that came. The booth was crowded like all 4 days. I'm sorry, I'm just smiling when I'm thinking about it. Dhruv and I maybe collectively had about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, all 4 days when we didn't have to talk. So we were talking the whole day for all 4 days, and people loved the game, people loved the card game. Tons of people came back like the second day saying, hey, we bought some decks, and then we played that night, and we wanted to come back to get a booster. Dhruv did a great job, and then by Friday, Dhruv and I got into this groove where I'm kind of like getting people to come into the booth, and Dhruv is playing with
with people who are interested in the card game, and Dhruv does a really good job on selling all the cards. So we actually sold so many of our base decks and I think all of our expansions and boosters, which was a complete surprise. Things were not starting well, and then it ended really well. So we were just like super blown away. But PAX East 2022 was incredible. I think we're now sure that people love the game, the video game, and we are even more sure that people love the card game. So I think that's exciting for us. So I think for Dhruv and I, the biggest thing is, aside from knowing that the art style, which I drew and people liked, that made me happy, and how amazing Dhruv's combat tweaking was. You know, all the combat and all the hitting is Dhruv. Matt's music, we always knew it was crazy. And the biggest part is we got to bug test a lot of things. Dhruv found a lot of problems that he could fix. It's actually not big problems. They're all problems due to the reset shortcut that we actually put in for the convention themselves. That got to bring out some of the problems that Dhruv couldn't find in the past, which is amazing. We know for sure people don't like the nighttime cold, so we're removing that. There is no longer a cold at night, and it was just plain annoying. It's not clear where it is a warm status where you can protect yourself from the cold. And another thing is weather is now going to be specific to a region. So I know during PAX East I said there will be dynamic weather system, but after some testing we realized it's not. It actually kind of stops a lot of things. We want players to eat curry to prepare for a place they go to. If the weather changes by like seasons and all that stuff, you're not gonna really know what to prepare for certain places unless we have a calendar, which we have to find a UI to put in and all that stuff. So now certain places will have certain forced weather. So for example, Hinterland will always be raining, the Cowless Ravine will always be drought, and the Ashen Border Ashen is always going to be snowy. So we're gonna have forced weather, but now that makes it so when you're going to these places, you can prepare to go there rather than just, oh no, it is snowing now, let me see if I have some food that I prepared that gets me through the cold. So that's one of the biggest things. The second focus we got to was people like the story. So that's amazing because we spent a lot of time on the trailer to tell the story, and almost everybody who checked out the demo when they're playing it, they were like, holy crap, that surprised me, especially to what happened to Sokka and Katara. We might change their names. They were completely surprised. They were very curious what the directions we're gonna take for Eduardo the cute teddy bear and what kind of story we're gonna tell with that. And that's gonna be a big focus. So rather than focusing on, let's say one of the things we're not gonna focus on anymore is the taking a trade item from one place to the second place and then sell to get a lot of money. That's no longer going to be a focus for Brave Eduardo anymore. It's going to be the story. I'm going to put more time in animating the story and tell a cohesive story. Yes, that's going to be one of the big focus. Combat. People love combat, so we're going to put in some effort in that too. And those, I would say, are the two biggest things for the game. I believe there's one more. Those are the big story, and I think that's amazing because PAX East no longer let us know what and if people like Brave Eduardo or Boado. The biggest thing is we know what they like about Brave Eduardo, and the curry eating, the weather, and these combat foods is something that we couldn't have done without having exposed Brave Eduardo to, I would say, 700 people. We got a lot of emails. The biggest takeaway aside from the game focus is that we sold a lot of decks, so like card art was worth it. And also we got to talk to about 3 to 4 investors. They were really interested to see what they can do for us, and we got to talk to a couple publishers, namely, and so if everything works out, we don't know where Brave Eduardo will go, but I think people liked it, and that makes me really happy. So what's next? I think originally my plan was actually right after this convention, I would fly back to Taiwan because Kyle had something we're gonna work on together. Hopefully make Brave Eduardo a little bit bigger, but the pandemic in Taiwan's not doing that well. I do also have to go to Korea. So one of my friends, like I said a couple weeks ago, she's introducing me to someone that might help us out as well. But she will be traveling in Europe for the first 2 months or something like that. And I also have a wedding to attend in July. So I'm thinking everything will be moved past that time.
In the meanwhile, Dhruv and I will be focusing on Brave Eduardo. We're gonna tell the story. We're gonna finish that. I'm starting to feel like I don't think I'll be able to finish the rest within 5 weeks. Maybe if I bust my balls, but hey, you guys will be here to see that, right? And I'm sorry for this week, it's a little bit longer, but Dhruv and I really know that people like Brave Eduardo, and we have their email. We're gonna hopefully prepare the email for that as well, so people know what's happening. People get to see this video, and let us know if this is the right direction we're gonna go for. People love the parallax and everything, so I'm gonna put some effort in that as well. I'm tired, extremely tired, but I'm extremely happy, and I think that really gave Dhruv the motivation as well. He's been busting his balls, working on so many fixes and adding combos, so he just finished that actually. So the enemy bears and enemies, they actually can now do combo attacks now. I'm gonna show you guys when we get to that, but yeah, PAX East was memorable. I think it's incredible. I got to meet so many people, people with good taste, might I add. Yeah, I didn't bring my bear today, but yeah, thank you for listening to my rant, and we will resume all the game development weeks next week. I'll see you guys.